Hello everyone, this is Shelby with Shelby Creations, and I just wanted to pop on to answer a couple of questions that have been asked, and I do appreciate y'all asking questions. One was about adhesives, the type of adhesives that I use, and while there are a lot of good adhesives out there, I'm not going to bash any. These are just the ones that I prefer. Tape is double-sided sticky tape for sure. I get mine from a Cherry on Top, but you can get yours. Hobby Lobby carries it, Michael's carries it. I've even found some in Dollar Tree. You can get it from a lot of places online. It's just what you prefer to use. Excuse me. Now, I do use Fabri-Tac, and this is in a... I just took the label off and put washi tape on the bottle. But Fabri-Tac is a silicone glue, and it doesn't make your papers wrinkle like a regular white glue, PVA glue, or water-based glue. So this is one that I do like to use. Glue stick, I prefer Scotch Create because I've tried other brands and they just don't seem to stick as well. And this is a permanent, if you can see it on there, it does say permanent, and it's a multi-purpose. Thin fabrics, it will glue to. Excuse me. I do like if I'm going to use a glitter glue, I prefer one that doesn't really, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. It really doesn't have any color, just has the iridescent. Now for my basic all-time glue, and because I use, when I tape something down, I say I'm going to tape down this piece of paper, I'll go all the way around with the double-sided sticky tape and then put my glue in the center. Excuse me, just a minute. I haven't been coughing all day now all of a sudden. But if I'm going to use like a clear glue, I get mine at Dollar Tree. It's just as good as the Elmer's clear glue. I have not had any problems with it. Yeah, so this is the one that I use. Now when I do make my water glue, I also use the one from Dollar Tree because it's basically, I've had the same result from this that I've gotten from Elmer's white glue. So, it works. Or at least it works for me. So, those are the adhesives, my go-to adhesives, the ones I use all the time. Now, a question about the white glue I had was, let me pull these out. Remember when we made these? They're simply the tissue paper with the white glue, and they're really strong. And someone asked, have you used the decoupage stuff? And I have, but let me show you what I ran into with that. And these are some that, you can tell I keep a stash of them. These are ones that I have made. And these here were made, the papers were just made with the regular white glue. But when we get down into the, that was not folded on itself. Let me see if I can find something that was folded onto itself, because they tend to stick together. I think the ones with the other glue is way back here on the bottom. Yeah, see what I'm talking about? They will stick together, and then trying to get them apart without damaging. That's what I ran into with the Mod Podge. See where the paper stuck there? So the farther down I get with the ones that have the Mod Podge on them, you can see that they stick. Sure, that's just one. So, but I haven't run into the sticking with the water glue, which is really good. So, I've been tending to use the water glue a lot more. One, because it's cheaper, and two, I don't have to worry about things sticking together and things like that. So that's why I use the water glue. I don't like the sticky papers. I can put those in there. In fact, I'm going to go ahead, and these I can fold up, lay on top, squish them in there, and when I go back, I don't have to worry about having to peel them apart from each other. So that's one thing I use. Someone else asked me about what type of papers I use. Now, you've seen me use book pages, and I used like I explained that my oldest daughter used to teach art at the YMCA when we lived in Florida, and she left a bunch of stuff with me when she moved to Colorado. And then when I moved back to North Carolina, I ended up bringing it all with me. I didn't realize that in all that stuff was paper. And over the years, it had yellowed. So instead of white copy paper, you can see turn this one over, you can see the color difference. This has got a beautiful, like, vanilla coloring to it. So I just love that. Coffee dyed paper, scribbled paper. See, this is just another piece of that vanilla paper. Get through under these prints here. These are the ones that I did just using my stamp pad because I needed a couple of sheets. So now I've got what looks like coffee dyed paper. Plain paper that I'd used a watercolor pencil on. Then we get into, if I find a print that I like, especially if they stop carrying it, I will save a sheet and copy it. Just run it through my printer. But you have to be careful when you print things. And see, this was just a piece that I had left over. But I wanted to use the same print on the inside of a cover of an album. So I just printed it off. But when you print from an original one, you're not going to get the exact same color. But you have to juggle your, on mine it's called density, your lights and dark, because you're going to get different shades of the same print each time you move that little notch over. You see, I've got dark, I've got light, I've got in between. The flowers aren't even the same colors. So, and that gives me a lot more to play with. So, and then two, oh yes, I buy paper. I'm notorious for that. I'll go through one of the craft stores, and instead of buying a whole pad of paper, because half the time I don't use all those sheets, so to me it's a waste, but I'll go through the single copy paper. Sometimes one of the craft stores will have it on sale, 8 for $1, 4 for $1. So I'll go through and I'll pick some that I like, and you know, for a couple of dollars you've got quite a bit of paper to play with. So on top of the paper, I also use tissue. I love using napkins, especially for decoupaging on papers and all. And up there on the shelf, I've got a huge bin of nothing but napkins. Different styles, different designs on them. And when this little bit finally, I get through all of this, I'll go through and I'll pull one of each napkin, and take the backing off. And then I've got my supply until that runs out. So that bin of napkins lasts a long, long time. As I said before, I also use book pages. These are old books that I had torn apart. I get them at I'll get them at thrift stores, garage sales, yard sales, charity shops, anywhere I can find an old book. Now, last weekend our library had a book sale, and I waited till next to the last day, going in there with every intention of trying to find an old book. Nope, I ended up bringing home 4 books to actually read instead of tear apart. So, but that happens. But you've got books, you've got magazines, you've got the flyers that come in the mail or with the newspapers. One thing I did splurge on, quite a while ago, probably about 6-7 months ago, was the wallpaper from Tim Holtz. Only because, you see, I love those patterns. And I was thinking, I could use this. But one thing I'm finding out is this is about the density of lightweight cardstock, probably about 70-80 pounds. And what I usually use, especially for my ATC cards, are 110 pounds. So this is a bit heavier than what I would use in a journal, but that's something else I've got to figure out a thing to use. But those are some of the supplies that I work with. Every time I'm making a journal or adding to it or creating, I tend to pull not only from those but from my scraps, because we all know we end up getting a ton of scraps. So I use what I have, and you've seen it with the August Art Card Challenge. And I hope that what you have seen will help you decide on different things to use or different things to try. I do appreciate those that ask the questions, and as more questions come in, we'll do more little question and answering parts. So I hope you liked what I brought today. If you do, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon for our next Art Card August Day. Bye!